I've noticed over the last 3 to 4 years that my energy level hasn't been as high, and I just feel like I've moved into a phase where I need to have more energy, and I began to think that perhaps if I tried a different diet, that might help. I've also noticed over the last 3 or 4 years that each year I started gaining weight, and I didn't like that at all, but it just seemed like every year when I would go for my physical, I would put on like 5 or 6 pounds, and I quickly did the math and decided that at this rate I would be quite chunky by the time I hit 50. And it's just not the way I wanted to continue. So that's why I signed up for the study. I did. I lost about 6 pounds, and that was without benefit of really vigorous exercise because of the harsh winter we've had. I just have not gotten out to do as much exercising. It was really easy, actually. My energy level definitely went up, and I just really noticed that my my blood sugar levels kept at such a constant rate that I felt better. I didn't have any periods in the afternoon where my energy would dip down, which it always used to, about 3 or 4 o'clock. That just didn't happen. So I was happy about that. I noticed that in the evenings, and I generally don't get home until 7, sometimes 8 o'clock, but I had more energy even when I came home to do some things, whereas before I would come home and put on comfortable sweatpants, and I basically just didn't do anything. I just wanted to sit in front of the TV and either watch a movie or read a book. I really had no energy. If you're not eating really nutrient dense calories and foods, some of the foods that are available for people to eat are just so empty. And that's what happens. You'll eat something, and like 20 minutes later, you're looking for something else because your body's saying, hello, give me something that I can really be fueled with. I find that with my blood sugar level balanced, I mean, where I work, I always provide dark chocolate for anybody who comes into the office, and I have a pretty sizable bowl, and I always try to keep it filled for people. And so it was a temptation again in the afternoon from like 3 to 4 o'clock. In the fall, I would want to eat 1, 2, 3, whatever. But when I was on the diet, I wasn't as tempted. Every once in a while, maybe I would have 1, but it wasn't this overwhelming, like, I need something to pick me up. And so, yeah, I really would say that my sugar cravings, I had practically none. But the bigger surprise is that my craving for salt really diminished. I've always craved salt, and with the amount of soups and broths and kale, onions, and all these foods, I just didn't have it. So that was really nice. Well, one thing I did notice is generally in the winter months, I would tend to get almost like an eczema on my lower, like ankles and near my shins. And I haven't had that. My skin has been so much more supple. In fact, I had a pedicure a couple of weeks ago and I thought, oh my word, you know, what are my legs going to look like? And even though I haven't been disciplined about putting lotion on my legs every time after I shower, my skin is remarkably, it's just not dried and scaly and cracked. So I just feel like it has to be the nutrition. It's got to be. I've noticed that my fingernails just, they just grow. And I don't have to put polish on them. It just so happens I had a pedicure, so I have polish right now. But it's been amazing. They just, you know, they're just growing more, healthier, and yeah. Yes, I did have my blood work done, and of course I didn't send the figures, but it was my good cholesterol was better. My bad cholesterol had gone down. My triglycerides were at a very good level, something like 38, which is actually very good. And I was looking back on some of my reports from 4 and 5 years ago, and they were very close to what they were then. I'll get the numbers and see if I can get those sent. But yeah, it definitely had gone down. And it was incredible because just 2 years ago, my blood work was so poor that my red blood cell count was so low. I was right at the level of being anemic. Eating better made my mood improve. I mean, I'm a pretty easygoing person anyway, but even in the most stressful of situations, which has been pretty stressful the last 3 months at work, I've been able, I think, to keep a very calm disposition and not have periods where I would just become so anxious that, you know, I would feel that I had to just yell at somebody or, you know, leave my office so that I wouldn't yell at somebody. And again, I think that just really made me realize that sometimes when I've stood back and thought one of my girlfriends really needed to eat some good food because she seemed like she was kind of edgy, like really edgy. And then it made me think, well, you know what? I'd never been introspective enough to think of how I might have appeared to other people. But it really made me think about that, because I'm sure there were times when, you know, I would probably seem shrill to people. And I really haven't felt that way for the last 4 weeks. I feel like I've been just a lot more even in my approach to even difficult people in stressful situations. Yes. From time to time, this was kind of recent after my mother died in 2005. I would have episodes sometimes where I could only term them kind of like panic attacks right before I would fall asleep. And my mind would kind of race, and I would just have these feelings of dread, fear, and it would sometimes take me like 5 or 10 minutes to just kind of tell my mind to just shut down and go to sleep. Well, while I was on the diet, I didn't have that at all. And I slept soundly. I didn't wake up at night. And that was a very good change. I also noticed that prior to joining the study, I would cry sometimes, maybe 4 or 5, 6 times during the week, just be sad. And I only had one episode during the whole 4-week study, and it was very short. It was like maybe a minute or two. And so I really linked that to better nutrition, because I don't think there was anything else that I had changed in my lifestyle. So that was great. Definitely, I think partly because I slept well, and I think that again because my moods were pretty balanced. I found it even during long days. I could pretty much stay with things and really focus in on things, even when I was, tired by Thursday or Friday. And lately, I've had to do work on the weekends too, which I don't like to have to do, but with staffing reductions and things like that, I've just had to. But I have definitely felt that, I can concentrate. I can actually get up early now on Saturday and Sunday mornings, just like I do during the work week, and I have more energy. I don't have to sleep in and catch up like I had done previously and feel like, well, if I could just sleep in until 7:30 or maybe 8 o'clock, I will feel less exhausted. I don't feel that way now. I wake up at the same time, I get up, and okay, and I feel like I can concentrate because I can plan a little bit in advance. And I don't think I could do that in the fall. I found that I just got so accustomed to um, the different textures and the flavors in my mouth, as you said earlier, just really learning to kind of savor the food rather than just quickly, shoving it in your mouth or something. And I was surprised. I thought, well, I read the ingredients and thought, well, I'm not going to like this. But then I warmed it up and I tasted it and I thought, wow, this is really good. And then I would only eat 2 small bites, and it's like, I'm really full from this. And I've just eaten all these really good vegetables. And this must be something my body really needs, because I'm satisfied and I don't feel like I have to eat this whole, pizza. Whereas when I would eat other types of foods, and even foods that I had prepared myself, I would have a tendency to overeat things. And I think it's because, again, maybe my body was just looking for something more. Now I can eat, I feel satisfied, and something seems to kind of click off. And then my mind can focus on other things, hobbies, things I'm interested in. And I don't have to be worried about, oh, I have to find more food or something. So, yeah, that was a pleasant revelation. It was good. Yes. Actually, I felt overall the portions for the food were always generous. I mean, a lot of times I couldn't finish all of it. And yes, prior to the study, I would easily say I drank 8 to 10 glasses of water a day. I've always needed a lot of hydration, and I don't know if that's because I've always had a preference for salty foods that I eat, and maybe that's why I've needed the water. But I've always considered myself somebody that was thirsty, and I've been tested, and I don't have diabetes. But I did notice during the study plan that because there were so many good foods with broths and things, that I bet I only had maybe 2 glasses of water a day. I didn't need it. And that was kind of a surprise too, because it seemed like otherwise, whenever I would be out and about, I was always trying to find where there was a water fountain or where could I get water. I'm pretty good. I don't drink soft drinks or soda pop. That's just not something that interests me. But water I always tried to stick to, but it was also nice because, I didn't have to be constantly on the lookout. As I think ahead to the future and how I would like to live my life and be more engaged with life rather than just fighting with the food that I have to put in my body. That just seems kind of silly. I would rather I just really knew I wanted to be healthier and avoid having any kind of physical ailments that would prevent me from aging well.